What is a Catholic priest? What is it we are doing here today? What's the definition of a good priest? You four young men, after today and even later on today and tomorrow, people will kneel and kiss your hands. Some may see you on the street dressed as a priest and say, "Hello, Father, how are you?" Strangers may ask your advice at planes and doctors' waiting rooms. People you've never met will confide in you their deepest secrets. And they're doing that not because you are Mac or Vienne or Peter or Fabrice. They do that because you represent Jesus Christ. I saw a vestment when I was a boy that the priest was wearing, and it had Latin words on it, and it said on it, "Sacerdos alter Christus." And I asked the priest, "What does that mean?" And he said, "It means the priest is another Christ." You turn ordinary bread and wine into the body and blood of Christ. You don't say, "This is Jesus' body, this is Christ's blood." You will say, "This is my body, this is my blood." When people come and kneel and confess their sins, you don't say, "God absolves you" or "Jesus absolve you." You say, "I absolve you from your sins." I just want to give you a little advice. If you're going to be a priest, be a good one. What's the definition of a good priest? One who is a good shepherd, like Jesus was. And that means you care more about the flock than you care about yourself. In fact, you'll be most yourself when you're most like the Good Shepherd. St. John Vianney, the patron of diocesan priests, heard confessions over 8 hours a day. People lined up, came to him from all over France, burdened by their sins. And he never said, "We're closed." John Vianney, when he was given his parish, saw there were a lot of orphan girls on the streets there. And he went and begged money to build them an orphanage. He never said, "Well, when I'm a priest, I'm never going to talk about money because then people won't like me." And he built the orphanage. It's still there. A good shepherd is also willing to suffer, to undergo hardship. When I visited Vietnam a few years ago, the bishop where I was visiting asked me to give a day of recollection for the priests of his diocese. And a couple hundred priests came. And he said to me, "Now look out there and you'll notice there's maybe a dozen older ones, and then there's hundreds of young ones, but there's nobody in the middle." He said, "Those 12 older ones, all of them were 30 years in prison for the Catholic faith. During that 30 years, there could be no seminary, no ordination. And then all the young ones have come in recent time." When we were Jesuit novices and made the 30-day spiritual exercises, the 30-day silent retreat, following a program St. Ignatius Loyola set down, it came to a point in that 30-day retreat when we had to say a certain prayer from our hearts directly to Christ. And the novice master, in order to emphasize how serious this was, he said, "We're going to say it during Mass, and you're going to kneel down around the altar and before the Blessed Sacrament." We said St. Ignatius's prayer, "Eternal Lord of all things." I want to undergo all wrongs, all rejection, all poverty, both actual and spiritual, should thy most holy majesty deign to choose and admit me to such a state and way of life. Well, I thought that's just a symbolic prayer, but it comes true. Each in our own way will have some share in the suffering of Christ, the Good Shepherd. And my other just small piece of advice is this. If you want to be a good shepherd, you need to have a good shepherd for you. Psalm 23, we say, "The Lord is my shepherd." Jesus said in the gospel today, "I know my sheep, and they know me." You need to stay close to him, trust him, allow him to support and protect you. Ignatius Loyola was so close to Christ, especially when he encountered him in the Mass. He could really only say private Mass because it took him 3 hours to say Mass because he began crying uncontrollably during the Mass. St. John Bosco was so close and so trusted Christ the Good Shepherd that on a number of occasions when thugs followed him and meant to mug him and do him harm and rob him, he'd pray to Christ, and always this gray Good Shepherd dog showed up and protected him and then disappeared after. He will always be there for you. You be there for him. He'll never let you down. Today you become another Christ. Today you become a good shepherd. Be a good shepherd. Have a good shepherd. Jesus in your life too.